Let's face it, when global megastars cross paths, the world pays attention. And when one of them is Justin Bieber, a man whose career practically defined a generation of pop music, and the other is BTS, the unstoppable seven-piece group from South Korea, we're not just witnessing fandom, we're witnessing history. But here's the twist. Justin doesn't just admire BTS from afar. Rumors have circulated, interviews have hinted, studio sources have whispered. And now, the clues are aligning. This isn't your average mutual respect between artists.
No, no, no.
This goes deeper. It's about vocal admiration,
Tone,
control, emotion, range,
technique.
and that elusive X factor that can stop time with a single note. That's what Justin Bieber, someone who has spent more than half of his life living and breathing music, can't help but notice when it comes to certain BTS members.
He's not just a colleague.
He's a quiet fan,
A vocal stan.
maybe even a secret collaborator in the making. But who tops Justin's list of vocal obsession in BTS? Who's the member that makes him stop scrolling and start listening? And who surprised even him with unexpected vocal power? Is it the one with the silky smooth falsetto? The deep baritone with cinematic flair? The playful tenor that can flip into a growl with zero warning? Or maybe it's someone totally unexpected, someone whose voice reminds Justin of his own early career days, raw and full of untamed power. And what happens when a Canadian pop icon with over 150 million records sold finds himself humming to Korean lyrics at 2 a.m.? Does he DM them? Does he text Scooter Braun in excitement? Does he stay quiet and just watch from the sidelines? These are the questions we'll answer today. But be warned, this isn't your typical top list. We're not here to rate based on chart positions or stream counts. No, this is about what Justin hears. The nuance, the soul, the moments that made him sit up straight and go, "Wait, play that again." This ranking is based on interview breadcrumbs, industry murmurs, vocal compatibility, and, yes, a dash of speculation sprinkled with a heavy dose of fandom research. And trust us, once you get to the end, you'll never hear their voices the same way again. So grab your headphones, tune your ears, and get ready to go deep into the soundscapes that made Justin Bieber. Pause, smile, and fall in love with voices that changed the face of global music. Are you ready to find out who's number one? Or better yet, are you sure it's who you think it is? Let's begin. Number 7. J-Hope. The groovy underdog from the very beginning, J-Hope has always been known for his explosive dance moves, radiant smile, and electrifying stage presence. But when it comes to vocals, he's often been unfairly underestimated. That is, until someone like Justin Bieber pays attention. J-Hope's vocal evolution is one of the most underrated stories in BTS's discography. Starting out as the member who primarily rapped and danced, Hobi slowly, steadily, and confidently carved a vocal lane of his own. And for someone like Justin, who has long preached the importance of growth and authenticity, that evolution hits differently. Imagine being in the studio and hearing Blue Side play. It's soft. It's atmospheric. And then there's J-Hope's voice, vulnerable, melodic, and textured in a way that surprises even seasoned listeners. It's not just singing. It's storytelling. Justin reportedly once said that the emotion behind the voice matters more than technical perfection. That's why he connected with artists like Billie Eilish and the Kid Laroi. And that's exactly why J-Hope makes this list. Because when he sings, especially in his solo work, there's a rawness there, a quiet confidence. It's like he's whispering a diary entry into your ear, not performing for a crowd. Justin vibes with that deeply. There are whispers from music insiders that during a private listening session, Justin nodded approvingly when Ego came on, not just for the infectious beat, but for the sheer joy in Hobi's voice. That sunny energy, that unfiltered optimism. Justin, who has been through the darkest trenches of fame, sees something beautiful in Hobi's light. He doesn't just hear the notes, he feels the relief behind the laughter, the grit behind the smile, and in a world where auto-tuned vocals dominate the charts, J-Hope's organic tone, while not conventionally powerful, is refreshingly real. It may not be the voice that belts the highest notes or anchors every chorus, but it's the voice that lingers. That makes you want to dance barefoot in your room at 2 a.m. That makes Justin Bieber stop and go. Who's this? I like him. Some might argue Hobie shouldn't be on this list, but think again. Justin isn't about what's obvious. He's about what's genuine. And when you listen to J-Hope's voice on tracks like Piece of Peace or Airplane, you understand why a global icon like Bieber would quietly admire the groove master from Gwangju. Because in the world of voices, sometimes the ones that hit the deepest are the ones that don't scream for attention. Ready for someone even more unexpected? Let's move on. Number 6, RM, the Velvet Philosopher. You probably didn't expect to see RM here, did you? After all, the world often classifies him as the rapper, the mastermind, the eloquent leader of BTS with IQ points to spare and metaphors that bend time and space. But if you've been paying attention, really paying attention, you'd know that Kim Namjoon's voice holds a quiet kind of magic. And apparently, Justin Bieber knows it too. Let's rewind. Justin, for all his polished pop and R&B upbringing, has an affinity for voices that feel real. Voices that sound like they've lived through things. RM's voice is that kind of voice.
Deep.
Earthy. Resonant. When he speaks, it's like a cello being played with intention. When he raps, it commands your thoughts. But when he sings, and yes, RM sings, it's as if he's inviting you into a private dream. One of the first times Justin reportedly reacted to BTS's music was during a listening session of the Mono mixtape. That's right. Mono. RM's quiet, introspective, grayscale body of work that drips with melancholy and poetic tension. According to an anonymous producer close to both teams, Justin didn't say a word for the first 3 tracks. Just sat there, eyes closed, absorbing. And when Soul ended, he reportedly said one thing. That guy's soul is heavy. I respect that. That's not fandom. That's recognition, you see. RM doesn't try to wow you with vocal theatrics. He lets his tone do the heavy lifting. It's textured with honesty, bruised with experience. There's a subtle vulnerability in his lower register that mirrors Justin's own shift from baby to lonely. In fact, when RM softly croons lines in Everything Goes or Forever Rain, it feels eerily adjacent to the space Justin occupied in Purpose or Changes, not stylistically, but emotionally. The place where vulnerability isn't just admitted, it's embraced. And that's what caught Justin's ear. Not just the music, but the man. The poet who doesn't need falsetto to move you. The leader who steps back and lets the others shine, but whose rare vocal moments somehow leave the deepest echo. There's even talk among engineers that Justin once told his team RM's voice reminded him of the late Mac Miller, calm, wise, and strangely comforting. While RM may not belt like Jungkook or serenade like Jimin, he speaks in frequencies that artists like Justin feel.
Deep down.
In places we don't often explore. And that's why, despite the world focusing on his mind, Justin quietly fell for his voice. Now, who could possibly be next? The one with the fairy tale visuals? The midnight jazz tone? Let's keep going. Number 5. V. The voice dipped in vintage honey. If ever there was a BTS member whose voice sounds like it belongs in a different era, it's V. And Justin Bieber? Oh, he noticed. Not because V tries to sound different, but because he is different. His voice doesn't follow pop formulas. It bends them, breaks them, reimagines them. And for an artist like Justin, who himself grew up constantly reinventing what pop sounds like, that's an irresistible quality. V's voice is a paradox. Deep yet soft, heavy yet floating, masculine yet tender. You hear it in the first few seconds of Singularity, and you know it's him. That baritone? It's not just rare in K-pop, it's rare in global music. Justin has always shown an appreciation for vocal uniqueness, often praising artists whose voices have their own fingerprint. And Taehyung's? It's a fingerprint made of velvet, jazz bars, candlelight, and rainy alleyways in some noir movie you didn't know you were living in. Industry insiders say that Justin once listened to a BTS playlist curated by a mutual producer, and when Inner Child came on, he asked, "Who's this?" Not in passing curiosity, but in that way artists do when they've found something. Taehyung's voice pulled him in like gravity. There's an old soul in there. Something worn, something wise, something that can't be taught in vocal lessons. It's the kind of voice that feels lived in. Now picture this. Justin, fresh off his Justice tour, sitting in a dimly lit studio with mood lighting and monitors humming. He listens to Christmas Tree, V's haunting solo OST.
No overproducción. No tricks.
Just pure tone. The kind that wraps around your ribcage and stays there. The rumor? Justin listened to it 3 times in a row.
Didn't speak.
Just closed his eyes and felt it. V's lower register is what sets him apart, but what makes him stay in your memory is the emotion he packs into every syllable. Whether it's heartbreak, wonder, longing, or quiet joy, he acts through his vocals. And Justin, a performer who's long struggled with expressing real emotion under the spotlight, connects with that deeply. He sees in V a reflection of artistic honesty. Someone who doesn't sing to impress but to express, and there's more. Producers from both HYBE and Scooter Braun's circle have tossed around the idea, pure speculation, but juicy nonetheless, that V and Justin would sound insane on a stripped-down duet. Imagine Off My Face meets scenery. Acoustic guitar. 2 rich tones dancing in low light. Goosebumps yet. V isn't just the deep voice guy in BTS. He's the one who makes Justin Bieber stop mid-scroll, rewind a track, and wonder, how is this man not headlining vintage jazz festivals in Paris? That's the power of Kim Taeyoung. A voice from another time. A voice Bieber can't forget. But guess what? We're only halfway through. The next one? Let's just say Justin once quoted one of his lyrics in an interview, without even being asked. Curious? Let's move forward. Number 4. Jin, the silver-throated showstopper. There's something about Jin Seokjin that defies logic. At first glance, many saw him as the visual of BTS, the face that launched 1,000 memes, the global, worldwide handsome, whose beauty stunned red carpets and shattered the internet. But for Justin Bieber, it wasn't Jin's looks that captivated him. It was his voice. A voice that catches you off guard. A voice that soars, cracks, trembles, and shines, like silver dipped in sunlight. In the early days of BTS, Jin was often overlooked vocally. He didn't come from a traditional musical background like some of the others. He had to learn how to sing. But oh, how he learned. Justin Bieber, who himself has navigated the storms of vocal maturity, knows all too well what it means to grow into your voice. That's why he relates so strongly to Jin's vocal journey. Because what you hear in Jin today is earned. It's not a gift, it's a triumph. Imagine Justin sitting in the back seat of a black SUV, city lights streaming past, and Epiphany begins to play. That quiet intro, those aching chords, and then Jin's voice.
Steady.
Resigned. Hopeful. The way it cracks ever so slightly on "I'm the one I should love." That's the kind of vocal moment that Justin lives for. The moment where it stops being music and becomes confession. There are whispers that this exact song made it onto one of Justin's private playlists. The kind artists make not for performance, but for healing. And there's more. Jin's voice has a distinct clarity that cuts through production like a diamond. It's pure.
Bright.
Unapologetically emotional. When he sings the chorus in The Astronaut, it's like his vocal cords are carrying galaxies. Justin, who's always been drawn to ballads and emotional slow burns like Ghost and Lonely, naturally gravitates to this kind of vocal storytelling. The pain in Jin's voice doesn't shout, it whispers. And somehow, that hits even harder. In fact, when BTS's Film Out music video dropped and Jin delivered that soaring pre-chorus, producers at Universal reportedly noted that Bieber found it cinematic. That's no small compliment. Coming from someone who's collaborated with the likes of Ariana Grande and Shawn Mendes, that means Jin's voice has entered the elite emotional register that transcends language. There's even speculation, never confirmed, but frequently buzzed about in fan circles, that Bieber's team once floated the idea of a ballad collab with Jin during the pandemic. It never materialized, but the fact that it was even considered tells you everything. Jin's voice doesn't just impress.
It moves people.
Including the biggest names in the business. And Justin? He sees beyond the surface. He sees Jin not just as the handsome one, but the vocal soul of BTS. The one who always delivers emotion in its purest, most unfiltered form. The kind of voice that doesn't need tricks or trends. Just a stage, a spotlight, and a heart willing to break in front of you. We're now entering top 3 territory, and trust me, the next one will shock you. Because while Jin's voice is beloved for its elegance, the next member caught Justin's attention with something completely different: power.
Get ready.
Number 3, Jimin, the angel with fire in his throat. There's something surreal about Park Jimin's voice. Ethereal, delicate, almost too pure for this world. And yet, behind that angelic falsetto lies a fire. Undeniable, explosive, and utterly unforgettable. For Justin Bieber, whose own career has been defined by balancing silky smooth vocals with raw emotional power, Jimin's voice isn't just beautiful. It's transcendent. Let's break it down. Jimin doesn't sound like anyone else. His tone lives in a register that feels weightless, as if his voice floats over melodies like feathers caught in a breeze. From his earliest lines in Lie to his haunting high notes in Fake Love and Promise, Jimin has proven again and again that he's not just singing, he's soaring.
And Justin? He hears that.
Deeply. Multiple sources within both HYB and Western label circles claim that when Justin was first introduced to BTS's music, it was Jimin's voice that made him stop cold. Not because it was perfect, but because it was aching. Jimin doesn't just hit notes.
He feels them.
There's a tremble in his high notes, a fragility that walks the line between control and collapse. It's the same tightrope Justin walks in tracks like Anyone and Ghost, where emotion is king and vulnerability reigns. And let's not forget Jimin's vocal technique. This isn't just raw talent. Jimin is classically trained. His breath control is insane. His vibrato? Controlled and shimmering like a violin string. And when he flips into falsetto, it's not showy, it's surgical. Justin, who's worked with the best producers and vocal coaches in the world, recognizes the craftsmanship in that. In fact, one producer once hinted in a podcast that Bieber was blown away when he watched a raw studio take of Jimin during a mixing session. That dude's on another level, he allegedly said. Like, angelic but dangerous. What makes Jimin even more fascinating to Justin is the duality. Off stage, Jimin is soft-spoken, kind, humble to a fault. But on the mic, he transforms. Listen to Filter, and you'll hear seduction, charisma, and vocal swagger dripping from every syllable. Then switch to Serendipity, and you'll hear yearning, pure, honest longing. It's the kind of emotional range that most artists can only dream of. Justin has often talked about how hard it is to find voices that live in their truth. And with Jimin, that's exactly what you get. Whether he's trembling on the edge of heartbreak or dancing with seductive confidence, he sings like his life depends on it. It's no wonder there's speculation that Justin once asked his team, has he ever done a solo collab in English? That guy could kill a bilingual ballad. Whether true or not, the very idea shows you where Jimin stands in Justin's vocal admiration. There's also the stage factor. Both Jimin and Justin are performers, real performers. They don't just sing. They embody the music. That kind of emotional synchronicity is rare. And for Justin, who's been scrutinized for every vocal wobble and every tear on stage, seeing someone like Jimin own his imperfections, use them as strengths, and move entire arenas with a single sustained note, that's not just impressive. It's spiritual. While the world knows Jimin as the main dancer with a sweet voice, Justin Bieber sees something else. He sees a once-in-a-generation tone.
A voice that bleeds.
A heart that sings. And a fellow artist who's mastered the art of feeling first, perfection later. And yet, there are two more. One whose voice is like a storm waiting to erupt. And another who might just be Justin's favorite of all time. Ready to dive deeper? Let's go. Number 2, Suga, the whisper that roars. Now here's where things get unexpected. Min Yoongi, better known as Suga, is not the first name most people shout when they talk about BTS vocals. But that's exactly why he's this high on Justin Bieber's radar. Because Justin doesn't care about trends. He cares about truth. And what Suga's voice delivers is unfiltered, unpolished, unbelievably honest truth. Let's clear something up. Suga isn't just a rapper. He's an emotional architect, a master of tone, texture, and timing. And when he chooses to use his voice, whether rapping with a whisper or singing with a rasp, it cuts through you like lightning in the middle of a silence. Justin has always appreciated tone over volume, intention over technique. And that's why Yoongi's voice hit him in a way that most fans never expected. Imagine Justin, late at night, earbuds in, scrolling through solo projects. He stumbles on First Love, and the way Suga spits those opening bars, breathy, fragile, controlled chaos, it doesn't just sound like music. It sounds like a diary entry catching fire. The piano builds, the emotion cracks through, and suddenly, you're not listening to a song anymore. You're feeling someone's life pour into your bloodstream. That's what Justin heard. And then came Seesaw. A smooth, synth-laced surprise that showcased Suga singing. Not rapping.
Singing.
That silky low register, that unexpected brightness, that weariness laced in groove. Justin was floored. According to one producer who worked adjacent to both HYB and Justin's camp, Bieber was shocked. Wait, that's Suga? I thought he just rapped. That's a whole mood. The admiration was instant. It was the realization that Suga isn't limited by form. He creates his own. Let's not forget that Justin himself has made entire songs with just soft-spoken delivery and hushed harmonies. He understands restraint. He lives for moments where less is more. And in that sense, Suga's style is practically a mirror. Songs like People and Amygdala showcase Yoongi at his rawest, bearing existential thoughts over minimal instrumentation, letting the words and intonation do the heavy lifting. Justin respects that deeply. It goes further. Justin has gone through battles with depression, identity, and public scrutiny. When he listens to Suga's solo works, especially under the August D moniker, he hears a survivor. He hears a kindred spirit. Someone who isn't trying to be perfect, but is trying to be real. That, to Justin, is everything, and there's even more behind the scenes. One insider claims Justin once nodded in approval while watching Suga's live performance of Daechwita, not because of the production, but because of how Suga controlled the stage with just his voice and presence. No unnecessary shouting, just focused, deliberate power. That's the kind of control Justin has tried to harness for years in his own evolution from teen idol to mature artist. Even more telling? The industry buzz. Multiple collaborators from both camps have openly wished for a Suga x Bieber collab. Not just because it would trend, but because it would work. Imagine Justin's emotional hooks intertwined with Yoongi's layered verses. Imagine the contrast, the harmony, the truth in that sound. Suga's voice may not be classically pretty, but it doesn't need to be. Because when Justin Bieber listens to BTS, he isn't looking for vocal Olympics. He's looking for voices that live in the real world. And Suga? He doesn't just live there. He paints it in grayscale and invites you to sit in the silence with him. Oh yeah. Suga at number 2? Believe it. Bieber doesn't care about labels.
He cares about depth.
And no voice in BTS dives deeper than Yoongi's. Now, take a breath. Because we're about to hit number 1. And if you think you know who it is, trust us, you do. But not for the reasons you think. Let's finish this. Number 1. Jungkook, the golden echo that Justin can't shake off. Here it is. The one name that probably danced in your mind from the very beginning of this list. Jungkook, the golden magne, the center, the main vocalist, the force of nature whose voice has captivated millions across the world, and yes, including Justin Bieber. But here's the thing, Jungkook isn't number 1 just because he's technically perfect. He's number 1 because his voice holds a kind of magic that Justin Bieber recognizes instantly. That rare, once-in-a-generation blend of control, power, vulnerability, and soul. A voice that isn't just heard, it's felt. And for someone like Justin, who's performed with Usher, collaborated with Mariah Carey, and held Grammys in his hand, feeling is everything. Let's go back to the start. When Justin first heard BTS, it was during a time when their global domination was becoming undeniable. And out of that powerful wall of sound came a voice that cut through, clean, resonant, with just the right mix of grit and gloss. That voice belonged to Jungkook. There's a widely shared but quietly verified story that when Scooter Braun played Euphoria for Justin in a closed-door meeting, he didn't even wait until the chorus. By the time Jungkook sang the line, "You are the cause of my euphoria," Justin turned his head and simply said, "He's it." And it's not hard to understand why. Jungkook's voice is pop gold. It stretches effortlessly across genres: R&B, EDM, acoustic, hip-hop, power ballads, you name it. There's a fluidity there, a shape-shifting elegance that mirrors what Justin himself mastered across the years. But more than that, it's the control. Jungkook can riff, belt, whisper, growl, or hover in falsetto without breaking emotional tension. His voice bends but doesn't break. And that exact quality is what made Bieber once remark in an industry dinner, "That kid's got the kind of tone labels dream about." What's even more impressive? Jungkook's vocal consistency live. Justin knows what it's like to be crucified for imperfect vocals on tour. He knows the pressure of being the main vocal night after night. And that's why he admires Jungkook's discipline. The years of training, the humble work ethic, the refusal to let fame weaken his technique. It's not just talent, it's craftsmanship. Something Justin has spent his adult life trying to protect in himself. And then came 7. A solo track that exploded onto the scene and planted Jungkook as a soloist with global power. When Justin heard it, you guessed it, he didn't just hear a hit. He heard a peer. A fellow male vocalist who could whisper in your ear 1 second, then break your heart with a high note the next. Word on the street is that Justin privately praised the track's delivery, saying Jungkook had the restraint of a pro and the hunger of a newcomer. And if anyone knows that balance, it's Bieber. Let's not forget the moments Justin subtly showed his admiration. Liking fan tweets, watching BTS interviews, and that now famous moment during an Instagram live where he let Left and Right play just a second too long. He wasn't just supporting Charlie Puth. He was vibing to Jungkook. And fans felt it. But the truth is, Jungkook embodies something that Justin resonates with beyond vocal technique: growth in the spotlight. Both started young. Both have been scrutinized endlessly. Both have fought for their artistic identity in the middle of worldwide fame. And both have used their voices as both armor and open wounds. That shared path makes Jungkook more than just a favorite. It makes him a mirror. Oh yes, Jungkook is number 1. Not because it's obvious, but because it's earned. Because when Justin Bieber listens to BTS, it's Jungkook's voice that echoes long after the track ends. It's the voice he would trust on a duet, on a stage, on a stadium world tour. It's the voice he bet the next decade of pop on, and maybe, just maybe, one day we'll get that duet. Jungkook and Justin. 2 generations of pop vocalists. 1 stage. 1 mic. Until then, we'll keep listening. And so will Justin.